is out there searching of loved ones lost. There's a lifetime of hurting, praying one day they'll find the missing.
The Oxnard Police Department is searching for a missing 4-year-old girl. The last time anyone saw Kimberly Lopez was on July 1st, 2015, in the company of her mom and dad in Oxnard, California. The child's parents are currently in custody for failure to produce Kimberly. Investigators believe that the child may be in California or possibly Mexico.
This beautiful little girl was tortured to death by her own mother, and then her body was dissolved in bleach. As you can probably already tell on this video, viewer discretion is advised. Hello, welcome to the Murder She Shed. My name is Holly. I cover rarely discussed true crime cases right here from my she shed. For some reason, this 3-year-old's case is one of those cases rarely told, and I want to shine a light on this case and her life. Before we begin, make sure you hit the subscribe button on this channel and also my other channel called Strange She Shed. I will leave the link to my other channel in the comments below. I've just started that channel so I can get a break from all the heavy stuff I cover on Murder She Shed. This channel's lighter and funnier. The next video I do on Strange She Shed is going to be about a girl who is the most arrogant brat on YouTube. You just won't believe the things she does. So make sure you head on over there and subscribe before I put that next video up over there. And also, I'm wearing my glasses today, as you guys can see. I'm just lazy and didn't want to put on my contacts, so I'm going to be a nerdy girl today. Hope y'all don't mind seeing the nerd in me. On June 2012 in Oxnard, California, Mayra Alejandra Chavez gave birth to a baby girl that she named Kimberly Lopez. Kimberly is beautiful, as you can see. Although Mayra had an older daughter, this was the only baby she had with Kimberly's father, Omar Lopez. Before Kimberly even left the hospital, she was taken away from her parents because she had tested positive not only for Mary Jane, but also for me. Mayra wanted to leave the hospital without Kimberly anyway. I mean, she just thought she was going to take away from caring for her other older daughter, so she didn't want her to come home with her. And you'll figure out why in a minute, because for some reason she had it out from Kimberly at the start. Ventura County Child and Family Services then placed Kimberly in a foster home. Kimberly was a happy child, and her foster family took her to visits to the beach and had her pictures made with Santa. Beautiful little girl, and the foster family loved Kimberly so much. The foster family also took Kimberly on trips to Oregon and Palm Desert before giving her back to her mother in February 2013. When Kimberly was 1 year old, she was returned to her bio parents after her mother completed drug and parenting classes and tested clean from drugs. Kimberly's foster family gave Mayra a book of photos documenting her life so far. They had grown to love the little girl, who they nicknamed Kimmy. The foster family was told if Kimmy returned to foster care, even though they actually moved to San Diego, they would still be able to get her back. Unfortunately, that would never happen. Kimberly was a well-adjusted baby, but when she was returned back to her parents, things would drastically change. Within days of reuniting, Mayra began to abuse Kimberly. She slapped her at nearly every meal, claiming she did not eat fast enough. She pushed Kimberly out of bed once because she thought it would be funny, and she actually laughed about it. The abuse would only escalate after Kimberly's father, Omar, was sent on a 3-month work furlough, and Mayra was left alone with her 2 daughters. Mayra relapsed and then started using heroin while he was away. At some point during that time, Mayra's stepsister saw her drop Kimberly into a crib, just throw her in, and then throw a blanket and pillow over her face. The stepsister told Mayra to remove the items so little Kimberly did not suffocate. But Mayra said, "I don't care. I mean, she's ugly and annoying anyway." Mother of the Year award, right? Already right at the top. Because I can't imagine looking at this beautiful little girl's face and thinking she was ugly. She's one of the most precious little girls I have ever seen, honestly. The stepsister noticed that Kimberly had scabs and bruises on her face, but Kimberly's half-sister did not have similar injuries. Mayra had her favorite daughter, and it was very obvious. In September of 2013, an anonymous tipster reported Kimberly's injuries to CFS. A social worker went to Mayra's house and saw that Kimberly significantly was underweight. She had bruises, abrasions, bite marks, and burns all over her little body. She had scabs and scars on her face and chunks of hair missing from her scalp. Her fingers and toes had been smashed. They literally were smashed. I don't know what she hit that baby with, but she hit her with something to smash her fingers and toes. You know how painful that is when you just stump your toe. Can you imagine as a baby someone smashing them like that? It's just awful. Mayra told the social worker that she did not know the source of her daughter's injuries, but that Kimberly always hurt herself, according to her. Police conducted a physical abuse investigation at the social worker's request. A detective examined Kimberly and photographed her injuries. During an interview, Mayra told the detective that Kimberly just fell down a lot. Her bruises may have been from slipping in the bathtub or a seatbelt that pinched her stomach, but it definitely wasn't by her. The detective was concerned for Kimberly's safety and granted CFS authority to remove Kimberly and her sister from Mayra's care. The foster family that loved her were not allowed to foster Kimberly this time, unfortunately. After Kimberly's removal, her mother called the social worker and repeated the explanations for Kimberly's bruises she had given the detective. She also claimed that another child had hurt Kimberly on the playground. A pediatrician later examined Kimberly. He documented injuries all over her little body. Given their large number and unusual locations, the pediatrician definitely believed that she was a victim of child abuse. She had also failed to gain any weight in the previous 6 months when she was with her parents, and that is unusual for a young child. In October, another CFS social worker interviewed Mayra. She again denied hurting her daughter and repeated her stupid claims about the seat belt injuring Kimberly's stomach, and also said she slipped in the bathtub again. She said Kimberly injured her fingers by slamming them in a dresser drawer. Mayra said she did not seek out medical attention because she was scared that her other daughter would be taken away. She didn't want that to happen. She admitted that she loved her other daughter more than she actually loved Kimberly, but said she wanted to regain custody of both of her daughters. So in August 2014, Kimberly's father, Omar, actually gained custody back for both girls because he claimed that his relationship with Mayra had ended, which was a lie. In actuality, Mayra was living with Omar and her daughters despite CFS orders against doing so. In September, a third social worker asked Mayra about the child abuse allegations made against her. Mayra said that she felt horrible for everything that happened and did not want to be that type of mom. Too late, you are. You're definitely that type of mom. And why CFS would give that little girl back to her parents is beyond me, but they did. They could see that she was so much better off with her foster family, and yet our system's so screwed up. They just kept giving Mayra chances. And this seems like what always happens. They always give the parent chance after chance, and eventually that child ends up dead. I mean, once abuser, always abuser, I do believe. I don't think I've seen any different. Once you're beating up your child, things aren't going to change if you ask me. I mean, you can obviously see that in domestic abuse, so why can't we see it when it comes to children? Why do we ignore that fact? Supposedly, she expressed remorse for Kimberly's injuries and said that she had learned how to discipline her daughter appropriately. She wanted to reunify with her family, pretending as if she wasn't already living with them. So apparently they started giving her supervised visitations, but why did she need them when she already had full access to those girls? I don't know. Mayra's abuse of Kimberly intensified through the latter part of 2014. Once or twice each day, she made Kimberly stand in the corner for 3 or 4 hours with a beanie covering her little face. I can just picture little Kimberly pulling that beanie up and her mother jerking it back down over her face, calling her ugly, and forcing her into the corner. I can picture it in my head, and it makes it so sad that she had to go through this. She was also forced to drink hot sauce. She beat Kimberly with her hand shoes or spatula. She poked Kimberly's eyes with her fingers and hit her in the face or chest at almost every meal. Just unbelievable that a grown woman would stick her fingers into a baby's eyes. So disturbing. She regularly forced Kimberly to bathe in cold water and would often pull a beanie down over her eyes and run water over her covered head. She basically waterboarded the little girl, which is considered just torture, even for an adult. Omar tried to prevent Mayra's abuse only once, when he stopped her from pulling Kimberly's hair. Mayra grew angrier because Omar had tried to stop her, so she then threw a jar that hit Kimberly in the head, causing her to bleed. Mayra just laughed. Omar did not intervene because he feared CFS would get involved. He also thought his intervention would cause Mayra to hurt Kimberly more severely. In February 2015, another CFS social worker met with Omar and Mayra. Although Mayra was supposedly getting only supervised visits with the girls, she told the social worker that she would like daily, unsupervised visits. She said she rarely disciplined her daughters and only used short timeouts when she did. By April of 2015, both Omar and Mayra were using drugs. In mid-June, Omar went out of the house for several hours. When he returned, he saw that half of Kimberly's face was bruised. He and Mayra did not seek medical treatment for Kimberly because they were afraid that CFS would take her sister away from them. In late June, Mayra returned home around noon one day and noticed that 3-year-old Kimberly had soiled her diaper. Mayra yanked Kimberly's pants down and pulled her feet out from under her. That caused Kimberly to flip backwards and slam her head on the floor. Can you imagine as an adult if someone came and jerked your pants down, pulled both of your feet straight up, and you fell straight backwards like that? God, I can't even imagine. That'd be so painful. This little girl was done this way. And this was what finished this little 3-year-old off. She hit her head extremely hard when this happened. Her head made a loud crunching noise when it hit, but she neither cried nor had any visible injury. Mayra was, of course, unconcerned and finished changing her daughter's diaper. I'm sure yelling at her the whole time. Half hour later, Kimberly yelled "Mommy" and fell to the floor. She began to seize, went stiff, and struggled to breathe. The seizure lasted about 30 seconds. Kimberly was able to walk and talk after it ended, so of course her parents just assumed she was fine. Kimberly had a second seizure around 45 minutes later. She again went stiff and struggled to breathe. This seizure lasted longer than the first, about 90 seconds. After it ended, Kimberly's body felt like jello, basically, soft, and she was unable to walk or talk. Her worthless parents decided against seeking medical attention, afraid of losing their other daughter. Omar and Mayra then wrapped Kimberly in a blanket and hoped she'd just fall asleep. At this point, a red fluid was leaking from her nose. Around 10 that evening, Kimberly was breathing on her own, but her body still felt like jello. Her parents went to sleep without a care in the world. At 3 a.m., Omar woke to check on Kimberly, and she was not breathing. Her body was stiff, and she did not have a heartbeat. Omar then woke Mayra up and told her that her daughter was dead. They were just only concerned about themselves at this point. It didn't matter that their daughter was dead. Now they had to find something to do with her little body. So what else could they do but go to Mommy? Mommy knows all the answers, apparently. So at 4 a.m., Omar went to Mayra's mother's house and told her that Kimberly had died. Mayra's mother told him to go to Mexico. She then lent him her Chrysler to them and also gave them $300 to dispose of her granddaughter's little body. Classy, I know. Omar went home and put his daughter's lifeless body inside a bag and on the floor in the driver's seat of the car. He put clothing around Kimberly, making it look like he was carrying just a bag of laundry. The couple then departed for Mexico after first dropping their other daughter off at Mayra's mother's home. Shortly before reaching the border, Omar moved Kimberly's body from the floor of the car to her car seat. He had to apply pressure at the waist and knees to reconfigure her stiff body into the car seat. My God, yeah. By this point, her little body had been in the car 15 hours and it actually started to smell. It had already started to decay. They crossed the Mexican border around 9 a.m. and spent the next 10 or 12 hours looking for a secluded spot to bury Kimberly. When they found one, they put her body in a plastic bag and just dug a shallow grave, threw her in, barely put any dirt over her. After burying their daughter, the couple went to Tijuana, to a bar, and drank. They crossed the border again a week later, still driving the Chrysler. They returned to their house, gathered their belongings, and moved in with Mayra's mother. Mayra's mother coldly told them that they should have burned the car. Around a month later, the couple began to get worried, thinking Kimberly's body might be found, so they drove back to Mexico. They then retrieved Kimberly's body, her decaying body by now, took it to a house somewhere in Tijuana. There, the two stripped their daughter's decaying flesh from her bones and tried to dissolve it in bleach. Part of it they flushed down the toilet. The rest of it they scattered around in the land somewhere in Mexico. Mayra thereafter referred to Kimberly as the little bitch. Social workers could not find where the couple had moved to until a year later when they were approached by someone with information of where Omar and Mayra now lived and some other concerning information. And it's partly because actually Mayra had got arrested for drugs, so that's one of the reasons they were able to discover where they had moved to. And I guess reason that was is because somebody had reported that the girls weren't getting taken care of because they figured the parents were on drugs, so they were able to locate them. At that point, social workers tried to check in on the 3-year-old multiple times, but her parents allegedly told them she was living with a man in Mexico who was like a stepdad to her. After several visits during which the parents weren't able to provide documentation that proved their daughter's whereabouts, Ventura County Children and Family Services reported Kimberly missing to the Oxnard Police on September 7, 2016. This was over a year after Kimberly had been murdered. They interviewed several people that were connected to this case, including concerned family members and friends of Omar and Mayra. Detectives were led to believe the child's parents were the key to finding her. Over the next 2 years, Omar and Mayra repeatedly lied about Kimberly's whereabouts. In late June of 2017, Oxnard detective arranged for 3 cadaver dogs to search the Chrysler for the scent of human remains. 2 of the dogs alerted to the presence of human remains in the area behind the driver's seat, where her body had been placed. Third dog showed interest in that area but did not give a definite response. In August 2017, Oxnard detectives interviewed Mayra. She admitted that Kimberly was with her and Omar when they drove to Tijuana in June of 2015. Mayra said they left Kimberly on the street there and returned to Oxnard. Police later recorded a conversation between the couple. During the conversation, Mayra said that she had told police that Kimberly had died, but did not tell them that she hit her head while she was changing the little girl's diaper. Mayra instructed Omar not to tell the diaper part to police. He ignored her instructions and went ahead and ratted her out anyway. In 2019, Mayra was given 37 years to life in prison, which doesn't seem like a lot to me. Because Omar testified against Mayra, he was only given 14 years in prison. Kimberly's grandmother, Mayra Lopez, was charged with conspiring to conceal the girl's death from authorities. She also took a deal with prosecutors and was sentenced to 180 days in jail. Even though Kimberly's little body was never found, her foster parents had a memorial for her, and her foster mom spoke of the good times they had with little Kimmy, and it is heartbreaking. This poor little girl should have been allowed to stay with this foster family because they loved her. And it's so sad that she wasn't allowed to have a good life. The system screwed up again.
It has taken years for us to find out that she was not okay and what really happened to her. Therefore, it is very important now for us to claim her as our own. While no power of law gave us the right to name and raise her while she was alive, I find it ironic now that it is only us that stands for her and gives her the only name by which she was fully loved, Kimmy. Kimmy was my only baby girl, the last baby I'll get to mother. Pages cannot hold what that experience was like for me and for her. I like to describe it to people as magic. The bond a mother and a baby have is intense, personal, and sacred. In the first few months that we had her, I became her mommy. And that is simply the most precious and incredible thing in the world to witness and experience. We fell in love with each other. Even now, I can feel her breathing on my face and see her eyes delight when I walk in the room, melt as she reached for me, and close my eyes and remember how she smiled at me and held my face close to hers so she could reach out and kiss me.
Which you'll find out why she really likes the older daughter more. That would be so painful. And there's Max. Go lay down. Can you imagine how it would... Wait till Max lays down. He's going to walk the whole little she shed, going in circles probably. Classy, I know. Isn't he a sweet boy? He's a sweet boy. He can be a sweet boy. He can be a sweet boy when he wants to. You can be a sweet boy. Where did Max go? Max was here a minute ago. There's Maxie. You see him? He's kind of hard to see. Yeah, this is two of my boys. Don't be nice. Be nice to Max. Be nice. Don't forget to come join me at Strange She Shed for the most annoying YouTuber ever. I haven't ended with bloopers in a long time, and I thought this video definitely deserved bloopers because it was awful. Just like a lot of my child cases. Not being disrespectful when I put bloopers on the end. Just the fact that I hate leaving y'all sad. And so I add these so you won't be sad. I actually get eyeglasses really cheap online. And I've got several pairs. And this is my nerd pair. It's so bad to be old because when I wear my contacts, I can't see close up. Like freaking stupid. I have to wear bifocals anyway. So what difference am I? Does anybody else have this old people problem? Or just me? Do y'all want me to show you some of my paintings? I've never showed them to you up close. I don't know why. I just never have. But I will show them. This is a painting I did to copy a painting my mom has at her house. Here is another one. Here's my little deer one. Deer in the woods. Here's my Colorado mountains. And I don't even know if I'm showing them or if I'm showing the floor or what. I got a whole bunch more. Since the tornado, they're like, I don't know. There's my she shed windows. I don't know if I ever showed y'all that either. Big, huge back windows we got off a mansion. They were just selling them like $20 a piece. These big, huge windows off an old antique mansion. So we bought them. Anyway, see y'all later.
I was watching the 6 o'clock news. Another sister was found in the ditch. I prayed it's not you, hoping I never cross that bridge. There are families out there.